everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Creative Visions TV. I'm your host, Karen Dahlman, and I'm excited to be here with you guys again. All right, we got a really cool guest, and we're going to be talking about mediumship, psychic abilities, and most specifically, spirit guides. Who they are, do we all have them, can we connect with them, and how do we get their messages? So let me first tell you about our guest. Our guest comes to us today from the East Coast of the United States. She was originally born in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and was raised in Alaska. Now, she comes from a military family, which is really cool because the military family upbringing really makes you want to be of service and also to have a high level of integrity. That's super important to her in her life. Now, she was born naturally a mediumistic qualities to herself as a child. But what I want to say is that when she was the age of 13, she had an experience with a family member that passed away where she had some communication. Now that really piqued her interest and drew her further into understanding more about her connections and her abilities to communicate with the other side. When I say the other side, you guys, I'm talking about the afterlife and also other dimensions where spirit resides. Now, today you could find her giving gallery readings, traveling around the country, and even internationally at Paracon events. You'll see her work alongside law enforcement to help solve cold cases, missing people cases. She also dedicates her life to expanding her knowledge of the other dimensions. Now, she provides psychic and mediumship development classes. She does online trainings. She does private readings, group readings, gallery readings, as I already mentioned. She also is a speaker, well sought after speaker about these types of topics. Her mission is to break through the stigmas associated with mediumship and psychic abilities and let people learn to develop these themselves. We're going to get into that today too. I got to tell you now, I've seen her work and do her craft, and she is fantastic with a capital F, you guys. She's a wife, she's a mother, a medium, an intuitive coach, teacher, and a ghost hunter. She does it all, you guys. So, without further ado, I'd love for you to meet our guest this episode. Let's welcome the talented Mermaid Medium, Jessica Potter. Hey, Jessica.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for having me.
You betcha, and it's so good to see you. Now, you guys, I got to tell you, I met her a few years ago at Michigan Paracon. You've heard me talk about that many times. And we started talking more recently because we've been doing other Paracons together. You guys, it's so cool when there's somebody you're drawn to and you have this affinity or attraction to each other, and you start talking and you realize, oh my God, we got so much in common. That's what happened to us, right, Jessica?
Yeah, it's just like an energetic pull. You don't know why. You're just like, that person's cool. Like, you just feel the vibes. I don't know. And then, like, when we really start getting to know each other, it's like, whoa, that's just too weird how much we have in common. Like, too weird.
You guys, it's like, if you feel that, start having those conversations with people, because you're going to be so surprised that really, it's not 6 degrees of separation. I'm going to say it's like 1 or 2. I mean, but because, I'll start here, okay? So her dad was working at the same Air Force Base in Albuquerque that my dad was working at. They're a few years apart, but they work at the exact same base. She was living in Albuquerque when I was living there, you guys, at one of my times I was living there. It's pretty weird. There's so many other connections. How about the blood?
Our blood.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Sometimes, like, there's, more, like, somebody, where we live now, you went to high school here.
Oh,
like,
that's right.
This area, it's like we've been connected all over. And I swear there's something where, like, energetically chords cross. Like, and that's why when you meet people, you're just like, there's something about that person. Yeah. Then personality,
cool.
I think upbringing, and our dads are too much alike. That's what makes it too funny.
It's totally funny, you guys. And then I have my own extraterrestrial experiences, and it turns out she has too. And then I think you're the one that said to me, Jessica, like, you go, is your blood type negative, RH factor negative? And I'm like, I knew she knew that. Yes, it is. And what's weird, you guys, is this, okay? Her whole family, they're like all positive, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
And you're the negative one. My whole family, you guys, all positive. I'm the only negative one. Just saying.
Yeah. And it's like we're the weird ones too that are into the spiritual stuff, like just have that connection, where other ones like more like gotta be like clean cut and safe with it.
Right.
Where we're like, ah. Throw us in it. Let us figure it out.
So true. We're like the person in our family who's the cuckoo one.
Yeah, the wild one.
You guys know how it is out there when you guys get into this stuff too. Like you tell me, you can't always just, talk to everybody about it. I always say you don't need to tell everybody about it. But when you connect with somebody, you can be yourself. It's fun. You guys know that. It's fun.
Yeah, it's so nice to be around people and you like let your walls down, Like a lot of my friends knew in high school, like I was always the one with the weird books or like, sitting in the corner like at lunchtime by myself, like reading weird stuff. But it's like,
that was me.
Yeah, with family, always had to be a certain type of way. Try to talk to him about it, and they're just like, no, like, okay, like, never mind.
Well, that brings up a good question because you were raised more in a Christian background. So how did that support you in terms of your development? Because you had these gifts as a young child. You came into the world this way, and then you have this experience with this family member after this person transitioned. How, did you feel supported, or what? How did that go?
Not for a while. Like when I guess I came out of the spiritual closet, which I can best relate it to probably feeling gay, being in the closet, like kind of something you keep to yourself. But I think it's meant to be a personal journey, so I think that's why it is the way it is. But I had experiences far back as I can remember with like seeing angels, seeing balls of light, orbs often, all the time. I thought everybody saw orbs until, people be like, no, and wouldn't know what I was talking about, and I would just get quiet as a kid. But yeah, when I was 13, my Nana passed away, so we flew down for a funeral. We started planning it out, and 3 days after we got there, my uncle we were staying with had a massive heart attack and died. And so I had his voice come through to me in my mind, tell me clear messages for my aunt, for my cousins. He had 3 kids, each one of the kids. And I was only 13, but I knew without doubt, like, this wasn't God. This wasn't the same as praying. Like, this was him leaving firm messages with each one. So before they even told me that he had passed, I knew the time of death that he had passed. And it was right on when they called his time of death at the hospital. So one of my cousins, he was actually the first one, Southern Baptist family, let me mention that. So this is my family from the South, big Southern Baptist family. One of my cousins, his son, was like, I swear you're psychic. I swear you're psychic. And that was the first time I really thought of it as a kid, but I was like, I don't think so. I thought it was just something that when family members have family members die, that you just pick up on them. I thought it was just normal. And I remember the family was like, thought it was really cool and they were excited about it, but they were like, say you were praying. And if I did, no, I wasn't praying. I just heard him. But, so they did have me tell the family what I experienced, and we have a big family. So we were all packing in my aunt's house and everything. And so, when I first told them, it was, just kind of weird.
I bet.
When I would start to explore and get certain books and stuff, my mom would throw them out and be like, so the devil, that's not good. But then she had her other moments where she would tell me about when you were a kid, you predicted this, this, and this, like Desert Storm, for instance. I guess one night when she's put me to bed, my dad being a helicopter pilot, I was praying for him and said, I hope he's okay with all the storms going on. She was like, what storms? And the next day they changed it from Desert Sword to Desert Storm.
Oh,
so
my gosh.
That I picked up on that I didn't, pay attention to. It wasn't until 30s. Yeah, 30s. But, I'm 37 now. I was probably about 31 where I was like, hey, I'm a psychic and this is what I think I want to do.
Okay, that brings me to a point. What made you go? She was working a traditional job, you guys. What made you go, I'm going to do this full time? How did you get that support to do that?
So I had my own beauty business, which I love, but the passion wasn't there. Like, I was right on the line of renting a shop, too. That's the crazy thing. I'd outgrown my house. I'd taken over so many guest rooms we had in our house, and I was like, hey, I need to just get a shop. But there was a part of me where it's like, I don't know if I could see myself doing this the rest of my life. Like, as much as I love beauty and everything, I don't know, the passion wasn't there. The money was good, but the passion wasn't there. And my daughter started having experiences. Same time, I had a good friend who was an ex that passed away, ex before my husband. But yeah, it was like a peaceful breakup, mutual thing. There wasn't any hard feelings. So when he passed away, I had so many experiences that I thought I was going nuts for like 2 weeks. And I got to where I just started writing down the little weird things, like my brother lost my shoes. My mom hasn't been able to open this chest yet, or they just found this in mine, and it was just random things like that. And then because we were all friends on Facebook, the next day they would post about on Facebook, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is too creepy. And that's when I started put together, okay, there's something more going on here, and I decided to take classes, and it's just taken off from there. And I remember even my first few classes, I was like, I don't think I'm mediumship. They'd line me up with somebody, or have mediumship. They'd line me up with a partner to practice on and be like, you're getting ripped off. I'm sorry. Like, you're getting one medium here. And the teacher was like, just do it. And I'd go through the practice like, whoa, okay, I'm getting a lot more than I thought I would, you know? It's pretty different.
That's amazing. I mean, yeah, because where you are now, I mean, that's just a few years ago to come think about it, you know. But the deal is this, you guys. She had all these gifts she came to the world with, and it's more about you just needed to open and somebody push you to do it. So it almost sounds like your ex who transitioned really became a catalyst for you through all the messages he was giving you to give.
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of your push, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. And I remember getting a reading, and I was like, I've had roommates pass away. I've been surrounded by death, come from a big family, aunts, uncles, cousins, roommates, like you name it. I've had lots of people I've been close to pass away. So I was like, why him? And he came through loud and clear and said, because I know you like nobody else, and I'm giving you that kick in the ass. Get out there. And I was like, yeah, that would make sense. I was like, totally makes sense. And what's funny is, like, I believe he was a medium too. Well, we know now. And his brother is. Me and his brother talk often and stuff, but it's pretty weird because we were always obsessed with paranormal. We'd watch the shows and like message each other, and like, so we were both really into this stuff, but we didn't realize it. I remember we would go like months, years without talking, and we'd have a dream where we'd meet up and talk in the dream. And then he would message me and he would describe the dream, and it was exactly how the background was, what I saw. It was really weird. And that's when he was living. You know, so it's definitely, I think, something more that he knew how to connect to me in certain ways, or understood mediumship really easily. So, yeah, he didn't let go. He really kicked it all off.
I love that. I think I've told you guys my story before when I did this group dream thing, and I'll just say it real quickly. You can actually practice yourself. So I was in a dream group. And this was back when I was in college. And the dream group, we meet like once a week, and we come together and talk about our dreams. But part of it was put on by the Edgar Cayce ARE group. And the part of it was they wanted you to learn to do more lucid dreaming. And now, you guys, I do lucid dreaming. I have it several times a year. And the idea was to build and improve it and be able to do it yourself more on will, which is kind of hard to do. I could do it once in a while, but not every time. So we decided we were all going to meet up in a dream. We said, okay, this night, this next day before our next meeting, we gave each other the date. We said we're going to go to sleep by a certain time. We're going to meet up in the dream, and what we're going to do is we're all going to come together, and somewhere wherever we are, we're going to all reach up and grab some kind of light, like a string from a light bulb, you guys, and pull it down. All right. So I have this dream. I'm in this dark room. It felt like it was like a closet, but it was pretty big. It was dark. I felt people in there. I go, where's this light I got to turn on? I went like this, and I saw people in my dream group there, minus 2 of them. I'm like, okay, where are the other people? But most of us showed up. So we go to class, the dream group, the next day or next 2 days. We show up, and we're like, oh my God, I had a dream. We were in a room. I was like, I was in a room, and I go, I saw you there. And they're like, I saw you. And we're like, you two weren't there. They're like, we didn't have a dream. Is that weird?
Yeah.
So you guys, you can do stuff like this. Do experiments with your friends, whether you think you're a psychic or not, or mediumship or what. It doesn't matter. Just try these dreams or these ideas, because I swear to God, you're going to find something that can happen for you. That's great, Jessica. That's something you guys did. It's something I did. And it kind of helps you go, well, there's something here. I mean, I've got some kind of gift maybe, right?
I would just laugh if I were part of that dream group. I'd be the one late, falling asleep, like coming in, like, sorry guys, where's the light?
You would walk in late. You're like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah,
and I'm like, in the dream.
Everybody remembers. I remember Jessica was late again.
Yeah, you were 5 minutes late, Jessica. Where were you? That's so funny.
Just when we're wrapping up, Jessica.
Sorry, we're out of here. Okay, so this is good. Okay, so let's talk a little about connecting with spirit, because I want us to talk about spirit guides, you guys. And we love spirit guides on this channel. You guys know my story with the spirit guides. I talk to them on the Ouija board all the time. You guys come to my sessions. I just call them the guides. But there's so many other levels to this. So would you share with us what you do, Jessica, in terms of you talking to spirit or spirit guides?
So coming from a Christian family, like I was pretty much only brought up like, there's angels, there's the Holy Spirit, and there's God, like everybody goes to the other side. You're not supposed to communicate with them. You're not supposed to bother them. Whether they went to hell or heaven, you don't worry about it. I've since learned it is so different and so much more fascinating than that. You can have ancestors step into spirit guides. You can have like my ex that's on the other side. He's a spirit guide. He's still around all the time. And I remember, and now it's been 5 years, or when it first happened, I kept feeling like I was holding him back. I was like, oh, I'm sure there's so much more you want to do. But I think there's so much more woven in our path than we realize. I feel like he was meant to not only help teach me, but I've had him step in readings. I won't even notice he's around and communicate a message for a spirit that's struggling to communicate as clearly, or where I'm getting, what they're trying to say. You have where your angels can step in as certain guides, be there for big parts of your life or main section. And then you have where you can pick up on guides. At least I have this when I travel. I came back from Michigan the first time we met it in my Paracon, 2 years ago?
2018 or 19, I forget what year. 19.
Yeah, 19, right for 2020. And I remember I kept getting this name in meditation, like Chief something, White Eagle or something like that. And I finally was like, hey, what is this Chief White Eagle? And I found out he was like from the area where we were in my Paracon. And I went outside a lot and like walked a lot of the land and stuff like that. So I'm like, that's so interesting. Like you can have guides even connect with you from different areas, whether they're trying to bring you history or there's something to learn. It's just like amazing how it works. So even animals, people don't understand this about pets and animals. Those can be spirit guides. It's meant where you're supposed to have a connection with certain ones, and you have ones come in on the other side that I work with all the time.
Yeah, you guys know I do too. We talk to the animals all the time on this channel, and one of my spirit guide animals, I call it the Council of Karen, and it's an owl. An owl sits on the Council of Karen. It's a great horned owl, and you guys, I see them all the time now, and they're dropping feathers for me. It's crazy. Okay, here's a cool story, you guys. So I was out walking, and I go hiking. I think a lot of you guys know that I go hiking almost every morning, and I'm out in the desert hiking around, and I felt this presence of something. It's a new spirit guide, you guys. It's a new spirit guide. I have not spoken to him on the Ouija board yet, but I've spoken to him in other ways. This is the cool part of the story. So I feel this presence. I feel kind of masculine. I'm not sure much about it. And then I'm using the Ouija board with one of my friends, Suzanne Wilson. And she goes, Karen, right behind you, I just see somebody. And she goes, she described this being, it was a more masculine looking. And she said, looks like he's Native American. And she goes, Tohono O'odham, which is one of the names of the Indian cultures out here, you guys. And I went, what made you say that? She goes, he just told me to tell you that. And I was like, this is weird because where I live, that is what the Native American, that's the type of tribe that's out here. Plus, they're also called the Hohokam or the Anasazi. So I was relating more to the Hohokam part. But she tells me this, and I'm like, okay, cool. So I go, I'm trying to now, would you show me yourself? So I'm out hiking by myself, and you guys I think it's been like a couple weeks, Jessica, because I sent you that picture. I think it's about 2 weeks ago, maybe 2.5 weeks ago. Popped right into my mind's eye. Not out here externally. I haven't seen him externally. But popped in my mind's eye, this beautiful image of this man, Native American. So I drew him. I drew him out. I'm showing it to you right now on the screen. You guys, isn't he cute? Look at him. He's great, isn't he? Okay, so this is the cool part about it, you guys. I showed this to Jessica. And what did you say? What was going on for you that day?
I remember it was one of my days where it was like back to back to back to back readings. And so like when I have those days, I'm like always like super linked in. And I remember I heard some native language, but I didn't write it down. But I also live in a part from natives in Virginia. So I was thinking it was tied to something here. And then it clicked later when we were talking. I was like, oh, that's the tall one. That's the one. and it showed me this vision of her hiking, and where she normally always goes to the left, or like there's this hill she comes up on and then goes down with along the path that's there. And then it was over to the right, but he was showing her over to the right is like where his tribe was from, and there was the tall ones, which is what they call themselves, and then short ones. And it was like two tribes that like came together or lived together for a short period, but he was trying to connect you to like the true history there. But I remember like what would have seemed scary, like if you had seen him, because like the height was like a big difference. And
It shows tall, you guys. This is the weird part about it. Okay, I forgot this part. All right, so when Suzanne saw him, she goes, he comes with stars. There's like these little sparkly stars around him. She goes, it was really quick. I turn around, I'm like, am I supposed to turn around or not? I'm like turning around to see, and there was nothing there for me to see, but she picked up on him, and that's what just started this whole journey, although I felt him before. And so then when Jessica described where I go hiking, there's this hill that I would come around and I go down. And what's interesting is Suzanne said, he told me to tell you, you're going to see deer on your next hike. When you see these deer, know it's him. You guys, I do see deer often, but I would say out of 10 hikes, I might see him maybe 20% of the time. So the next morning after she saw him, I go on this hike, this trail that I love to go on, and started walking down, and around a corner, 2 deer came out. It just stood there, and weren't even afraid. Just looked at me, and they just kind of walked down the hill, and I'm like, oh, that's him. And so I'm hoping, he'll pop in. And it was like about 3 months later, that's when he popped into my mind's eye, and I just showed you guys what he looked like. This is the other weird part about it. What I heard was, he is tall, and he's like a guardian. And I did not tell that to Jessica. I never even told that to Suzanne. And she saw the picture too. She goes, oh my God, that's the guardian, isn't it? And so she knew. I'm not even using these words with people, okay, you guys? I'm not telling anybody these things. These are my own things in my own mind. And I go, he is tall. And so when Jessica said that, I was like, bingo, bingo. So the point of the story is, you guys, this is how the spirit guides will come through. They come through new when you need them, new messages or new things, but also rely on your friends, because they might tell you something that relates to this story without you knowing it, right? And Madam just said, hey, this is what I did today. I just pictured this guy, and she's like, oh. And then she had this, like, Jessica had this whole hit. And I just showed it to Suzanne too, and she's like, oh my God, that's him. And I'm like, yeah. You guys, isn't that cool? So this is how one way it can unfold for you, just kind of over time. You feel something, the new images come, or people fill in the gaps for you, or you draw it. I say, don't you like this idea? Draw your spirit guides, right?
Because I'm bad at drawing, so I draw stick figures still, but I mean, they still get through, like, they'll draw this here, draw that, like sometimes I'll draw tribal symbols, and I didn't know what I was drawing for the longest time. I felt like I was just doing squiggles.
Right.
But there's so much symbolism behind all of it. And a lot of times, like, when they come around, they fold into your thoughts. Like, people don't realize how much they use your mind to communicate. So you'll have random thoughts. So sometimes when you're talking to a friend, if a friend mentions something that they pick up on, you can be like, oh my gosh, I did think that, but I forgot about it because I was focused on this, this, and this. Or, a lot of times, like, there's little hidden messages, or you'll get a feeling about something that'll be folded in there. Like, people have where they're connected to all sorts of genres and things that came before their lifetime. And there's a reason. There's most likely connections there through all of it, whether it's your own ancestors or spirits around you, guides around you. And there's something with, knowledge that's being passed down. There's also a lot where, we can go into past lives, and that's like a whole other thing. I feel like there's lots of stuff to multiple angles to past lives. I feel like sometimes we're connected to other people's past lives because of things we're here to do, like we're kind of picking it up and continuing the path, or, some goal that they were working towards, and then we have our own. But it makes sense, like, this is like a school. We're coming here to learn, and sometimes picking up where somebody left off, and that energy might be folded in, so you could have their guides folded in with your guides.
Absolutely. I love this term, folded in. I think that's I've never used that term before, but I would say that's a great way of saying it. It's like a cosmic entanglement. But I can
Yeah,
see it needs to come together. And folded sounds a little more calm than being
because
tangled
there's
up.
free will involved in everything,
Yes.
So it could be like once you start down that path, we're like, yep, she's heading this direction, then we're going to help her get there. They kind of, yeah, fold in, and help you, assist you like with reaching that goal, and working on yourself. Because I never planned on being a medium. Like even even once I started put together what's going on, I'm like, okay, I might just do this like for fun and kind of keep it secret, but keep running my beauty business and stuff. But yeah, I fell in love with it so much, like doing the work. I was like, God, this is
Hmm.
what I was meant to do. Like in school, I always struggled really bad. I have dyslexia, speech impediment, like all sorts of stuff. So I never saw where I'd be doing anything like public like that. So it's
Right.
kind of crazy how they kind of led me on this path, and I've had more and more falling in. It's like, now I know without doubt this is what I was meant to do. One way or another, I'm getting to heal people. And like everyone in my family is like all about go to college, get degrees, and I was always like, I had a full ride scholarship and I didn't use it because I wasn't for sure which area I wanted to go into yet. Like I was torn between marine biologist or forensics.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I know. And I couldn't make up my mind. I'm like, I don't want to go there and blow it. And, so I was like, till I have my mind set, I know me with how hard I struggle with school. I'm not going to go into it until I'm full force ready to go. And then I got led on this path. And before you know it, like I'm working missing person cases, and just led in that direction. And it's like, this is the way it's meant to help. So I could have gone to school and I could be helping in that way, maybe put together pieces, but I wouldn't have had the time and patience to really learn my abilities had I not taken this path.
Yeah, I love to see how everything is a step. I consider every choice you guys make, it's like a springboard to the next, although it doesn't always feel like that, but it truly is. And you can look back when you get a little older, look back and you can see that direction. I can see it definitely too. So yeah, this missing person cases and the forensics, it kind of goes into that whole cold case thing too, doesn't it? So can you share anything about your work, or like how that happens for you?
Yeah. It's interesting. I even went through get my private investigator's license,
Yes.
and I was a private investigator for a while before realizing I was a medium, because I wanted to work. I was like, I want to be able to help and work missing person cases. And there was a case that got stirred up with a soldier that went missing in our town, female. And but I ended up working more divorce cases and like a lot of hard cases. I was like, I keep wanting to get to this area, but and then I started getting known for the divorce cases. I'm like, dang it, guys.
Shoot.
Yeah, but the more I grew with my abilities, it just happened naturally, because so many people are like, well, what did you do? You call the police station and tell them you're getting this, this, and this, and it's like, no. I just kind of let the cases come to me. And I think because my personality and understanding law enforcement, I have a lot of family in law enforcement, a lot of military family. There's something I think with personalities that they can see, I'm getting straight to the facts with things. So it takes a lot. And it took me practice too to learn how to deal with certain things. As medium, like you get nervous with getting feedback. But with law enforcement, you're not going to get feedback. It's like, you could be right on it.
Oh, I bet.
So you got to learn to work with personalities. But I have a family friend whose daughter went missing, and her girlfriend from my mom's side, Southern Baptist family as well, from the South. So she reached out and was talking to my mom about her daughter missing and stuff. And my mom said, well, my daughter is sensitive. Let me see if she can do anything about it. So my daughter said, hey, here's their pictures. If you get anything, you know how to contact her on Facebook. So first, I started getting visions like immediately. And I knew, there was river involved, there was a gun involved, there's, all sorts of stuff. So I'm like, hey, how do I reach out and deal with this? But I just started a small conversation with the mom, and she said, I heard my daughter talk to me that morning with the horses. I know my daughter's on the other side. Just what can you give me to help me get her body out of the water?
Wow.
And so I said, I'm getting this, this, and this. And she said, I'm passing you to law enforcement. You're dead on it. Because I saw like where a gun went off. I felt the heat go through my head. And then they focused on the passenger seat, and I could see in the headrest a bullet hole. So I knew to tell them, like, look for a bullet in the passenger seat, and they found it. So then it took a couple of days for them to locate her body in the water, and then I think it was an additional 5 days. But I was able to direct the police to where I was seeing a bend in the water, and one of the bodies was tangled up under a tree, and then they were able to recover them. And then from then, it's just been other ways that cases have found their way to me, that mom telling other moms and police, and yeah, so it's just kind of getting to my passion. And then I went to an academy in California, went through a really intense academy. It's a program that works with the FBI, getting them to communicate. All of us that we pass the academy are assigned a serial number, and so we work cases as a serial number, protect our identity, as well as, keep, like, the police can look at it and be like, hey, 70% saw a gun was involved, 2 suspects, and they kind of break it down like that to make it easier for law enforcement. And then, if they're drawn to a certain number and they're located in that area, they can call you on a case on the ground. But
that's fascinating. I didn't know how that worked. That's really cool. So when you're doing these readings, and by the way, you guys got to say, I've seen her in action doing her readings. I mean, it's amazing to watch. It was really, I've seen her at the events, you walking by and I see her doing the readings, but I saw her on Sage Paracon. I was on that one recently. I told you guys about it. She amazing. If you get a chance ever to join one of these live groups, or even she teaches a lot of classes if you ever want to, get a reading from her as well. But just the way she works, it's just so beautiful. You bring up a lot of emotion. I know for me, when I do any kind of mediumship or any psychic work, I have to be totally in my emotion. I have to be so fragile in a way, very sensitive, right? Yeah. And it's beautiful to see you do that. And you're very open. And you're very open. You have to be that way, and you do that so well.
Because I can't get too swallowed up in the emotion, or I lose it.
Right.
Because they're okay, but you can feel the pain. You can feel like the love that they're trying to send, and it's so beautiful, like that they're in a good place, and then you feel the pain of who you're reading,
right?
And how it's like a sore, and they're wanting so bad to heal them and hug them, and like. That's the hard part, is like you're kind of caught in between. But I know when I get too caught up in the emotion, I'm more connecting to the living person, and I have to step back and bring through like the healing messages, so there is a lot to it. And it's like, I think it's like a blessing for people with ADD. I don't think they realize how intuitive they are, but there is some connection there between when you bounce all over, they're able to use that. You're not too set in being this area of your mind. There's something with right brain people and ADD that they can just like flow right in.
That's awesome to think about that. That's interesting. See, I always thought of ADD and ADHD and being very creative people. And being able, when you say, I multitask, I mean, very creative people, because you're able to be more in the side of the brain that works with these dimensions. So I've always seen that as a gift for people. So when you do any of your readings, and like I've seen you do mediumship readings, but let's say you're doing a psychic reading, are you also asking for your guides? Here we are back to spirit guides. Are they coming through and helping with the messages, or is it more talking to the deceased person? Or like you said, you had the ex-friend who comes through sometimes and helps out in reading. So talk about that a little bit.
When I'm doing psychic readings, I really leave it open for either one, because I never know. Sometimes people can't afford a mediumship reading, or they're coming there because they're so worried about their relationship, when really they have a loved one dying to get through this message about their health, or, like, hey, everything's going to be okay. Like, you're so focused on this, you're missing this. So I try and leave it open for whoever, even if it is a psychic. Now, if it is a psychic, I'm going to tend to put my energy towards what's going on with them and see, what they're dealing with emotionally. But a lot of times, like, their loved ones and guides will step in as it is and be like, hey, their mind and energy and everything right now is so focused on their job that they're missing this, and this in their life. Just let them know, like, sometimes like people have a creative side that they're scared to explore. Yeah. They get so used to like, I have to stick to this structure and work this job, and it's draining the life out of me, but this is the way it's supposed to be, that they'll step in and say, hey, go ahead and take that art class. There's a reason why it keeps coming up, there's potential there. have an entrepreneur type experience coming up, but like sometimes it's just like, yeah, where they gotta shake them out a bit. So when I'm doing psychic versus mediumship, I do tend to focus on what's going on, but yeah, all the time. Like I kind of put that out there. Hey, if there's something more they need to know or understand, come pop in. And
that's what I do too. I invite their guides, their ancestors, those who have the best interest at heart to come through. And then my guides always come through in my readings. That's who I mainly go through. You guys see me on the Ouija board too. It's always the guides, and they're always in the background when we're doing our readings. So let's talk a little bit about, I want to hear your take on this too. How to, let's say you're new at this and you really want to meet your spirit guide. I mean, first of all, we know we all have them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how what do you recommend? Would you say to somebody if they want to? I mean, because everybody goes, okay, I can believe that it's nebulous, but how do I really know they're there?
I say the number one thing I tell my students is be aware. Lots of times there's communication already going on where they're bringing either numbers through, song lyrics repeating, dreams picking up. They keep thinking about this book or this movie or there's a lot of different ways that you can connect to spirit. So they're going to use the way that's most open. It could be even hearing your name be called. If you're very clairaudient, you could be falling asleep and hear your name being called, and some people will be getting freaked out, like, what does that mean? Am I going to die? No, it's just your guide, like, hello, connect to you. And with guides, maybe don't focus too much on what their name is, who they are, where they come from, because sometimes people get so caught up in that they're just missing messages, and it comes naturally. So yeah, I say just be aware of odd synchronicities, patterns going on around you. If you had a friend or loved one or aunt, uncle, grandfather, grandma pass away and you keep seeing something that reminds you of them, whether it's a bird or they're from China and you keep seeing China or Chinese symbols stand out to you, that's their way of like opening up that doorway. That's them letting you know they're there. So just trust it, and just by being aware and paying attention to it, more and more picks up, because they're like, oh, okay, they're starting to get it, yay, and they get excited too. They're like, yes, okay, I'm making contact. So they'll start dropping in more and more signs.
They love it when we acknowledge them. I think that's the key. If you acknowledge them and say, okay, or you could start by saying, I'm here, I'm willing, I'm open. Please show yourself to me in any way that's possible. And then you got to start really paying attention, you guys. I even say write things down. You heard your name being called out. Write that down. What day was that? What was going on? What were you thinking about? Oh, this book fell off the shelf. Oh, my God, write that down. That's happened to me before, like in a library. Not a library, excuse me, a bookstore. A book just like, whoop, and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to get this book. So weird things like that happen. Pay attention. And like, I love what you said, Jessica. You just acknowledge them. And you also say, thank you. Whether or not you believe it for sure, you're right. Gratitude goes a long ways. Gratitude of attitude.
I do every single time, every single
Me
reading.
Too.
Every single one. That's the first thing I do is I pause and thank their loved ones. I thank my guides. I thank everyone, because we're really just the tool. If they didn't show up, we wouldn't get anything. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. It's acknowledging that, and the reason why is like they don't go, oh, you got to thank me. It's not that. It's the vibration. It's the vibration energy you give to them that they feel. It's all about vibration, you guys. So I always say, love, joy, thankfulness, gratitude. That raises it, and it makes the connection easier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so
it's like a universal language.
That's it.
And they know that you get it. It's like the same as a respect thing, like I'm always polite to like every waiter or waitress, stuff like that. But sometimes people go in there so business and like, got to do this, got to eat, got to get out here, got to do this. And it's the same way when you approach your readings, like it's the whole experience of it. Like it wouldn't be happening the same if it weren't for that person. So, you want to show gratitude for that experience completely. Because they're the ones that lead you to this path, and have you open up to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about some of your spirit guides. I talk about my spirit guides all the time.
Oh gosh, I have so many. And this is where like if I'm doing a reading, I tend to more just focus on their energy. I don't put it out there like I'm, it's kind of, I guess, known that I'm opening up to any guides or loved ones coming in, but I don't sit there and try to focus on it because I know there's so many.
True.
One of the first ones I met, was, and this is really cool backstory too, was when I was going through those classes, my very first intuitive classes, when I didn't know how to meditate, didn't know what chakras were, I had the giggles the whole time and had to keep apologizing for being disrespectful because it was all so weird and new to me. But she had us meditate and imagine walking in the forest to meet an animal guide. Mm-hmm. So once again, I'm thinking I'm not going to experience anything, but I did. I saw an owl up on a tree, and I remember, gosh, what are the ones with the bright orange eyes? I remember his eyes were glowing.
Well, that could be a great horned owl. Is it a big owl? Is he huge?
Yeah, he was big.
It probably is a great horned.
Bright orange eyes caught me, and I was like, whoa. But then it's like, oh, that's my imagination. Well, and she was like, well, and we're going to ask its name. And I immediately got Winston. And I said Wilbert or something. It said Winston, like real firm.
Oh,
but
wow.
Like excited. And I was like, okay. So I wrote down Winston. What's really cool is afterwards she had us share with the class what we got. And she was like, you know what? I need to connect you. She was like, I kept feeling drawn to you. I don't know if you're drawn to missing person cases, but I do see you doing work in this. I'm going to connect you with somebody I know out in California, who happened to be one of the main people that put together this program, Impartial Witness, that I work cases with. She had an owl guide named Winston, and every time she sees an owl, like an owl figurine or something, she will buy it if it has the orange eyes, and she was like, oh, another little Winston to come home with me. So she connected me to her, and she was the first one to tell me, you are a medium, you will be doing this work. It's just a small world. So that's one of my first guides I had come through. I have had other than loved ones, trying to think, I had the tall beings come through. Now, these ones were called guardians. I don't know if they're tied to yours, but they did feel a lot like yours. Really cool thing was, so it just was one of those meditations hit me out of nowhere. It's like, let me just do this meditation, and then I had an online class I was doing, and it was just all this future stuff going on, breaking down what's going on in the world. And they said, we're coming in right now to help protect the land and be guardians of the land. And they were extremely tall. They weren't being really tall. Mm-hmm. When I got done with that meditation, and I'm talking about like it was going over Atlantis, it was going over like Mother Nature and political stuff, all sorts of stuff. When I got done with that, I had a notification on my Nest camera out front saying person seen in driveway. So I'm like, ooh, Amazon. And I get on it, and there's nobody that came to our yard. And I'm like, what? So I go right to the time it says, in daylight, hardly any clouds out, you see a tall shadow, and it's right about the time I ended my life.
Shut up.
Up the street in the hill. I need to find that footage for you. You see a shadow along the trees, along the houses. So, like, even if it were a cloud passing over, it would, for one, have to be, but you can see it stepping and walking. It's unreal. Like, and that's where, I even got goosebumps now. It was the coolest thing, and it felt like such a blessing and honor. Like, I knew it was like a high, like, spirit guide that's like here to do like deep work. So it's just like, wow, like me just sitting down for a simple meditation, like, and it's just a crazy how intense they can be, and like when they have a message to get through. And and it was like, no harm will be done, because we live outside DC. They were like, no harm will be done, you're safe, but just know, basically just told me there's a big portal in what used to be a river in our backyard, and they're going to be doing work, and so it's going to be busy. We're going to be coming and going, but don't worry about it, type of thing. That was what a lot of it was about, as well as predictive stuff, I was taking classes from Cindy Kaza from Holzer Files, and I was right about to go into one of her classes, and I remember it was so deep. I asked her, I said, hey, can I do it live in our little private group? Because I just want to know if anybody else has gotten these messages. And she was like, yeah, girl, go for it. So I did the live, and I downloaded it to my computer, and I want to say it was July, not of this last year, but the year before. I'm pretty sure it was July 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, and I definitely need to pull up that footage and show you because it is unreal. Like,
That's freaking crazy. Okay, so you guys, I used to see these beings when I was a kid. We're going way back now. I remember the first time I could see them was around 6 or 7 and 8. I saw them for several years. Then they came around again in my junior high school, and then I quit seeing them. But they were large beings. I would usually I had to be in my bed, like trying to sleep, okay? But I'd be awake. It was not a dream. I would totally wake up when they'd come, and I'd feel this unconditional love just envelop around me. I just felt it, and I know what that feels like now because when I do the guides, I've told you guys this before, that it's a loving feeling that just fills my body like a column, and I just get so high off it. I just love it. It's such
it's like
a beautiful.
Christmas Day when you're a kid.
Yes!
That's the feeling I described.
Okay, well, this is interesting. So, okay, that's exactly okay. So I remember this time was probably 7 or 8. Is one of the most memorable times I had with what I called the guardians. There's a giant beings. There was like a light. I couldn't see I couldn't see like physical features. It was just this wispy kind of solid, but it was a solid light like thing. And it would come, and I'd wake up, and one night, and this is actually on Christmas Eve. They would come, you guys. They would come at auspicious times. So it'd be like around a holiday. Could be close to maybe Easter, and I go, oh, it's the Easter Bunny. Or it could be close to Christmas. I call it Santa Claus. Or, it was something like that, you guys. They wanted to make it so I wasn't scared. So when you said excited like Christmas, I was like, oh, Christmas, And then I go, oh, my God, Santa Claus is here. But I was like, that doesn't look like Santa. What is this? It was like, and there was 2 of them, and they were talking. One had a feminine-like voice, one had a masculine voice, but the guys, I can tell you, I don't even believe I think they're androgynous. But they said, is she asleep? And he goes, I don't know, but I'll check. And I'm like, oh my God, if I don't get asleep, Santa's like,
Santa.
He's not going to, you're right, Santa's going to be mad. I'm not supposed to be asleep when Santa comes. So you guys, I turn over my head like this, I close my eyes. They're doing this, like, try to keep your eyes closed, and they're blinking like, like this. And then he comes over, and you guys, he touched me, my spirit guide touched me physically. Went like this, a hand. It was such a beautiful feeling. I was like, what's he getting from that? He just was like this. And then he walked away. And I was like, oh, God, I hope my eyes are not. And I did, and they were gone. But I saw them many times after that, just to get around auspicious times. And I go, well, that doesn't look like an Easter bunny, but I would think it was. I go, oh, that's not the tooth fairy. It was things like that, you guys. It was weird. But I'm telling you, they're going to come the best way they can present, and also the way not to scare you. And the fact you saw also the tall ones, the guardians, to me, they're the same being. And they're saying, yes, they are. It's like they're going to show the best they can. And are you ready for it? And as a child, they didn't scare me. And this being now that I'm dealing with, this more of this, and he comes as a Native American. He actually is from the stars. So I didn't tell you, Jessica, what happened recently. I'll tell you guys too. I saw him again the other day in my mind's eye. He's not physical for me yet, like these other beings were.
Is he a shadow to you?
It's just the face and the part of the body I see in my mind's eye. I just see it. I haven't seen him, but those beings were not shadows. They were like lights that filled up the room. It was crazy. So he pops my mind. I see his face, and he points to the rising sun, and then he takes his finger and points right above it. And I got the message that that's where he's from. He's from some planet that's near the eastern sky, and that could be Venus. I haven't got clarification on him. He's from a planet over there. He's trying to show me where he's from, and he is from the stars. So it's like he's some type of guardian, and he's tall. And so you guys, the story's unfolding. You got to remember, I've been doing this for many years, and these characters, they just keep changing and unfolding for us as we get older and are more open to it, right?
Yeah, like I always tell people, you're never going to figure it out.
No.
I'm one of those people, like, I got to figure it out, and then I can understand it, move on. And I think that's what I love about this. You can never figure it out. Just when you start thinking you have it down, how your gifts work and all that, it's like, boom, you learn something new. Like, they will have part of, like, what I'm used to feeling a lot in my body is, like, physical pains. And then I'll be like, oh, okay, the person died of a heart attack or this, that. Well, then I start having that pull back, and I was like, what is going on? Like, I was so used to, like, that being the first thing, and they start having me hear more. So it's like every time you start thinking you have it down, they teach you something new. Every time you start to get familiar with your guides, and that's why I say don't get too focused on a name. A lot of times they don't go by names. They've had so many names, lifetimes, they just want you to connect to their energy. That's really what it's about, and learn them through that. But they change out. You can have some come in and help you through a breakup. You can have some that have been there for a lifetime. You can have some come and go depending on what you need help with or what you're actively working through. So it's very fascinating. But yeah, you can never fully get it down.
I like that. And my very first guide, I've talked about before on this channel, his name was Dacky, and he was like this little elemental sprite. I wrote about him in my book, The Spirit of Alchemy. I thought he went away, you guys. I thought I put him away because I was supposed to be a big girl and go to school, not talk to imaginary or invisible people. He never left. And if you guys read that book, he came back when I wrote that book and did this whole incredible poem. And he's throughout that book, he's woven throughout that story because he was my first original spirit guide that I could see. And I saw him physically, literally outside. So Jessica, do you find this? I mean, I found this in my life. As a child, I came in also with spirit, just really seeing and auras and hearing and, I mean, literally seeing them physically out here, not just my mind's eye. That and talking to them.
I remember, I think I was 3.
Yeah, see, I remember back to age of 2.
I can remember.
That's me too. I can go back to 2, 3, same thing. And so you're the same way. And you guys, a lot of you guys are out there like that. And then you think you lose it or it's gone. But isn't it interesting how you had your different things that happened in your life that kept pulling you back to remember and to do this work?
Even the guide you talked about, I lived in Iceland from the age of 3 to 6 and then back to Albuquerque.
Oh, wow.
Again. Yeah, and I remember gnomes. And I remember, like, they were always goofy. They would come to me at night and they would be, like, doing tricks over each other and wrestling and, like, little things like that to make me laugh. And I remember cracking up. And I remember when it came close to Christmas time, I remember my mom got a placemat from somebody. They would have, like, a placemat of the gnomes and their tradition. So the gnomes are supposed to be, like, a bad luck thing. If you don't do this on this day, then this gnome comes in and, you know, there's, like, bad luck around this one. So you got to leave a shoe out on the windowsill with candy in it. And there's like this little thing. And I was like, these guys are friendly. Like, they love me. Like, they're not mean. And but that's how the town locals were. They're like, no, they can be very, you know, you got to watch out for this one. But, you know, it's fascinating reading, like getting older and reading about the highway. Like so much so they did not build the highway. They redirected the highway because so many people had experiences with them. And it's just like, incredible. But I thought those gnomes were gone. I remember crying so bad when we left Iceland. I kept saying, my friends are here, they're saying goodbye to me, and I was crying and crying. And so they were even goofy with that. I remember they had, like, where they would load the luggage on the airplane, they had a mini little truck where they would load the luggage and the little, you know, trains, cars connected, you know. They brought all that there and they were all waving goodbye, and I was crying. But that stuck in my mind, the mini version. And I kept asking my mom about it. She was like, maybe you were dreaming. Maybe. And I'm like, no. She was like, I remember you crying really bad when we flew out. I didn't know why. You kept saying my friends. But, you know, she was thinking other little toddlers I knew there. But then when, I don't know, it was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I remember I saw something run low to the ground through my house when I was meditating.
Oh my gosh.
I heard a little giggle from it. And I said, what the heck is that? You know, and then I felt that energy again. I was like, oh my gosh, it's my Iceland gnomes.
Oh.
Like, they're back, you know? So I never named them, but I knew from like the giggle and stuff, I was like, I recognized that. It was the coolest thing. So yeah, sometimes they come back in, and I know now when he shows up, I need to bring in more laughter and lightness to my life, that I'm too like hyper focused. Yeah, so it's pretty cool because they bring that energy with them.
It's true. I love that. They come back. You think they're gone. And all you guys out there that watch this that said, oh, that was me when I was a child. You can have it back if you want it. You just got to work at it. Speaking of that, you guys, I want to, Jessica, talk about some of the training programs and classes you offer, because you really have some cool stuff that you do. Would you like to share a little bit about that, where people can find you as well?
Sure. My website is the Mermaid Medium, or starloveclarity.com. And you can find me as Jessica Potter, Intuitive Medium, on Facebook. If you want to search me there, follow my page, message my profile. I have a class coming up, a mediumship development class, 6-week class, and I dive in deep, guys. I pack in as much as I can. So I have online content. I have a private Facebook group that we meet up in. We vote on what day everybody can go live, and then we have live training, live practices. It's a lot of fun, and I go at a comfort level that's comfortable for you. Some people are nervous, turn on their camera the first couple times, and once they get to know other classmates, they're like, okay, we're all weirdos, and you know, we love it. So that starts November 3rd. I have 4 spots left.
Oh, okay.
So you can sign up for that. Yeah. It's getting down to the wire, so definitely filling up. Yep, so that's November 3rd. And I have where later this winter, not quite sure dates yet because I got to look at travel calendars, all balancing. I'm going to be teaching probably another round of my cards class. And I do have it right now where it's self-paced, but if you're wanting to go through it with a class where we meet, read each other cards, I teach it really unique. I've always been drawn to cardmancy. So that's where it's playing cards, and you can get so much from it. It's the coolest thing because people are like, oh, I knew tarot, or I dabbled in tarot and dabbled in oracle cards. I don't think I can read anything, but you can get so much from it because that's the original tarot cards. So it's pretty cool. So we go through that, then we go through oracle, and then we go through tarot. And I teach it a little bit differently because I was raised where you don't touch that. That's a no-no, that's evil. So it took me a while to learn tarot, but I learned once you key that with your intuition and let the card just talk to you, whether it's the picture, what you're getting drawn to, or the feeling from it, you can gather up the whole message there. So I kind of teach it in a unique way. It's not memorize this to match this card. It's more look at it, match that feeling, trust that, go with it, next card, you know. So, and I have it set up in a cool system where you have a booklet that comes with a class that can help you out. So it's pretty fun. So, yeah, definitely look at my courses online.
You guys, all links will be below and about the video section. Everything she just mentioned to you. You guys, also she sells the most beautiful.
I was just going to say.
Yes, tell them about your jewelry and crystals.
Sorry, I just thought of, we're talking about guides. Do you want to talk about guides?
Here we go.
Yeah, so I sell jewelry, crystals on my online shop, also Sage. Actually have cards in there too, and you'll see closer to my course I have like card deals where you can pick a couple and all that. But yeah, crystals, that's a huge way to connect with different guides. So me and Karen are both obsessed with labradorite, which,
and I have mine right here already showing everybody.
And there's such a cool history behind it. So this is my little heart one. I'm trying to get the rainbow show up good.
Oh, it shows up beautifully.
Yeah, so there is, oh, there we go. I was showing the wrong side from what's the flashy side.
I just love labradorite. You guys, it opens up your upper chakras. It really is great to do this work. When I do readings, I always have it with me in my hands. I use it as my talisman, a reminder, but I feel like it actually really helps me. I love it. Love it so much.
Yeah, especially for paranormal, this is a really good protection one.
Yes.
Because it's about lighting the light within.
Yes.
And so if you have alien type guides, if you have angelic type guides, it helps you with your connection. Because I kind of feel like the angels and alien type guides work together. Whole another backstory there. But this is one way that if you're drawn to a certain crystal or something, really look into it. If you can get to a spiritual shop in person, I think it's best to go towards what you feel, like not just what you see, but I always run my hand above them, and where I feel that warmth or that static, that's where I'm like, hey, that's what it is. And it always tends to be blue, which is funny because like Pisces. But yeah, labradorite is one that I have some I bought because I could see like a guide in it. I could see like a chief or like an angel in it, and it's like, yeah, that's so meant to be. You're going home with me.
That's a good little mantra. Well, we've come to the place at the end of the show, but I do have one more question to ask you. Mm-hmm. What is your take on the Ouija board?
So I'm different about the Ouija board. Me, myself, I've never touched one except for Ouijazilla. I don't have a feeling, and then it's funny because I broke my tailbone that night, so I teased Rick. Yeah, I teased Rick. I was like, that's because I stepped on the Ouijazilla. But I feel like it's with everything else. Everything can be a tool, from hacked radios to pendulums to dowsing rods. But with Ouija board, there's so much of a stigma built up around it. There's so much fear built up around it that I feel like if you have that fear, or if you were raised with that fear being put on you, like your upbringing, like I was, then you should know what you're doing before touching it. So till you have that under control, don't touch it. So I have no issue with it. I have no issue with people using it around me. But me personally, that's why I haven't touched it, because for so long it was built up in my mind. So when I feel that fear come in, it's like I'm going to channel the way that I know, like I'm protected. I know how to properly open, properly close. So I'm not inviting anything in because I am like an open channel. I know spirits just drop in. So that is my reason why, but I don't see a reason with it. So maybe if I got to a point where I didn't have that fear thought come in, or my mom's voice.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably where it came from.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. Then I would feel different. But I feel like you need to know what you're doing, and it is a tool, so you need to be respectful of it, open and closed. Because I feel like whatever energy you're carrying is a signal. So if I have any sort of fear, I'm not going to leave that opening for a spirit to come in and play off of that and me have a horrible experience with it and forever see it that way. But yeah.
No, I appreciate your take on that. I think what you said, you guys, it's key here. We talk about this all the time on the channel, Jessica. It's about what you believe is what you're going to get, what you're going to receive. If you have these fearful beliefs about it, it may not be the tool for you. We talk about that here too. So very well said. Well, look, it's been great having you with us on this episode. We're so thankful to have you. So I want to say thank you. I appreciate your time. I know you're very busy, but it's always great to see you. And I can't wait till I see you again. And you guys, we're going to be together in person next May, Memorial Weekend in the United States in Virginia. Bell Plantation. It's going to be fantastic. So the links will be below for that too. It's on my website. She's got it on her website, but we're going to be together again. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know you got an event in Las Vegas, first weekend in December, right?
Yep, December.
Para Unity.
Yep, 9th, 10th, and 11th.
So come on out. If you're in Las Vegas, come out and see her. Get a reading from her. You're going to love her, and just go meet her anyway. She is the Mermaid Medium. She's amazing. So thank you again, Jessica. Good to see you.
Thank you. Bye.
And thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching this show. See you again next time. Bye-bye.